Hello everyone, True Zero Emissions here. Just giving you an update video of the solar powered scooter. I put a watts up meter between the Genesis GVB8 boost lithium 41.7 volt lithium battery charger, and here it is. This is the watts up meter, and this is telling us how much power is actually going to the battery. And the battery's full right now, so it's not taking a lot of power. And I'm going to do some tests where I'm riding the scooter. I need to configure a way of mounting the phone and the GoPro and the extra battery for the phone and GoPro to the scooter, so I still am working on that. But I just wanted to show you that I got the the watts up meter here, and that's mounted between the Genesis charger. A lot of people on the internet were asking how can they use solar panels to charge their lithium battery or whatever chemistry battery they have and without using an inverter box and then plugging their wall charger that came with their electric bike or electric scooter. And the Genesis is the solution that I found. And Genesis makes these for different chemistry batteries. This is the one for lithium. And this is a 36 volt, they call it nominal battery in the scooter. So this to charge a 36 volt nominal battery requires 41.7 volts. And it can charge the battery. It can receive up to 8 amps, but when I researched it, it says it can go up to 9. A lot of people have gone up to 9 without trouble. But it can take up to 8 amps from the panels. And right now, because the battery's full, it's just charging at 0.39, but at the proper voltage of 41.44. And then the watts up meter that I have from the solar panels to the charger, let's look at that reading. That's at 0.45, it's varying, at 37.7 volts. So you can see how the charger boosts the voltage. That's why they call it a voltage boosting, because it brings the voltage up to that which is needed to charge the battery. Which again, people are saying, like in the comments, when people are asking how to do this, some people are commenting that you can't boost voltage, that nothing's available for that, but there is. And maybe those comments were made before this Genesis came out, but I think the Genesis has been out for a while. So this is the Genesis. I'm trying to remember how much it cost. I think it was around $200 for this unit here, and I put a link directly to the website of Genesis. And some of the units are sold, like for different chemistries, they're sold on Amazon sells them. But the last time I checked, I didn't see this particular one, this voltage for lithium at 41.7 volts for the 36 volt lithium battery. I didn't see this one on Amazon the last time I checked. But maybe those will become available on Amazon, but they are available on the website. So I just wanted to show you, I tilted the solar panels, just to let you know, I had the solar panels flat, where they were just perfectly flat, and then I was getting, at that time I was getting about one, what was it? Yeah, 1 amp. So this was showing, see, the battery's already getting full now, but when the battery was lower, it was showing 1 amp here because it was allowing more energy to go into the battery. Right now the battery's almost full, so it's accepting less energy. But this was at this was at 1 amp, right, at approximately 41 volts when the panel was flat, when I first brought this outside in the sun. And then I leaned it toward the sun. As you can see, the sun is over there. It's like a 45-degree angle. So I leaned the solar panels a little bit more than a 45-degree angle, a little bit down. And what's happened is the amperage doubled. It went to 2 amps. But then it quickly charged. So as you can see, it's taking less than that now because it's full. But I'll do more testing where it shows that when the battery is lower, it'll actually receive that higher amperage. So the amperage drops down as the battery nears its full charge. But just by tilting the panels, and I'm looking into, my research and study indicate that there are ways of, let me think what the material was. I created a playlist where there's research being done to use a diffusion, some kind of diffusion, I'm calling it diffusion, over the panels. So even if they were flat, and they weren't necessarily facing the sun, the light would hit and diffuse and still give it more power. I think that was a professor at a university that was researching that. And I just like to keep up on what research is being done to help improve solar panels, because these solar panels, the Elfeland SP-22, which I think are using definitely using monocrystalline cells, and I think they're by SunPower, even though they're sold as Elfeland SP-22, which I bought both of these as a set. They're 80 watts each, for around $200 for the panels. And they have slight imperfections in them, as you can see, like little chips at the end, but they still work great. So that's okay with me. I'd rather save the money, because these can cost up to twice that. And maybe when they cost a lot more, maybe the cells are in absolutely aesthetically perfect condition. But to me, it's like, if it's putting out the same power, or almost the same power, I'm happy with it. So, so the other research was the material that was being put onto the cells to help them to produce maximum power even when the cells are not necessarily facing directly at the sun. I'm just researching that. And then also I'm thinking of the other research that was done. I think it was polarization, using polarization to increase the power also. But also I was researching how it looks like, from my research and study, and I still have a lot more to learn about this, it looks like ultraviolet light is what powers solar panels. If that's true, I was just wondering if we could use some kind of LED that produces ultraviolet light to maybe help produce power as an experiment, strictly as an experiment, to charge these, to power these crystals, because these are crystals. These are crystals that are grown, which is really interesting. Solar panels, these monocrystalline solar panels are crystals that are grown, and they're sliced into thin slices, which is really, really interesting. So they're grown and they're sliced into thin slices and cut into the shape that is needed. And then so what I was saying was that there's I'm sorry, my mind blanked for a minute. I'm thinking about my cat over there, because she's you know, my neighbors are leaving too, so I'm slightly distracted for a moment. Give me one moment here to collect my thoughts again. Yes, LED lights. So if an LED light, which takes very low power to produce light, if an LED light can produce the specific wavelengths that activate or charge these cells, if it is UV, then I'm interested in doing some testing in that, just as an interest. Even if it doesn't work, it's fine. But I just am interested in that. So UV light, and which wavelengths of UV light. Anyway, so that's enough quick update, and I hope this video started recording right away, because I noticed that when I stream, sometimes like the first minute of my stream will not be there. So in case that happened, I'm just going to go over everything again. So the battery on this is almost fully charged, so you're not getting a lot of power from the cells right now, but these cells are Elfeland SP-22, and they're 160 watt solar panels that we bought on eBay, and a lot of people sell them. They sell for around $200, some a little less, some a little more. And so we put a separate watts up meter on here that goes from the voltage boosting charger to the 36 volt nominal, which means normal voltage around 36 volts of the battery. So this plugs directly into the battery, and the charge is actually going through this watts up meter right here. It's going through it. So it gives us amperage, and it gives us watts, and that just goes underneath, as you can see, to where the plug used to be there. That's where the plug used to go into, where you used to charge the scooter. So there it is, everyone. I'll make some more videos of riding the scooter and everything, but the main thing I want to show in this video is that I put a separate watts up meter, which I was realizing in the last stream that that's something I wanted to do. Excuse me, because having having the power watts up meter between the charger and the battery will let us see that that this charger boosts the voltage. Excuse me, which a lot of people say can't be done. You know, just in comments on electric bikes trying to add solar panels, and they're adding all this inverter, you know, converting the power from let's see, some people are using the solar panels and they don't know how to charge it. They don't know about the Jenison, and they're hooking the solar panels into something that converts, you know, DC, because the solar panels are DC, they're direct current. So converting the DC into AC and then regulating the voltage. I mean, there's so many things that you can add. But by just having this Jenison GVB8 voltage boosting lithium charger, which this company set out to make the best charger they could. They wanted to make the best charger they could possibly make. And if you look at SunTrip, like SunTrip 2018, SUNTRIP, SunTrip 2018, or any year, SunTrip 2017, SunTrip 2016, you'll see people, I don't know how far back, I don't know how long this has been out, but a lot of people use this charger here, this voltage boosting charger, and it lets me put the solar panels directly into this charger, and I think it can take up to 60 volts. So I could have 60 volts worth of, a maximum of 60 volts worth of solar cells, a maximum of 60 volts. So I could have even more in series if I wanted to. I could have more cells in series, up to 60 volts, and this will accept that up to 8 amps or 9. It actually will accept up to 9 because enough people have written about that, and I also talked to Jenison themselves, and they said yes, it's confirmed. They haven't had any trouble with up to 9 amps, but exceeding that could harm this. And then so this will output for up to 41.7 volts for a 36 volt battery, and it'll charge up that lithium battery really well. And the scooter's using the battery management system that came with the scooter. That's always balancing the cells. So that's still being used to balance the cells out and keep them balanced, to keep the voltage equal between the cells. And this is just adding power direct. I just opened up the battery compartment underneath the scooter, and I found 36 volts, and I soldered the wires, these wires that go in here. I soldered those to the battery. And I'll keep an eye on the cell balancing. I can use the Mi Home app to see how the cells are staying balanced, and if it looks like they need more balancing, I'll add an additional battery management system. But people that have been adding the Jenison to their electric bikes and to their electric scooters, I haven't seen any trouble with cells going out of balance or needing more balancing than is already provided by the battery management system that comes with the scooter. So I really look forward to streaming me riding the scooter more, because I haven't found a way yet. I haven't had time to kind of configure the rigging to get the phone connected to here, because here's what's happening. When I stream with the phone, I know I've mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again. When I stream with the phone, it's very shaky on this phone. It's an iPhone 7 Plus, and for some reason the image stabilization is not working well, so it's really, really blurry and shaky. If you see the test ride I did, where I'm just testing that trailer, the Weehoo trailer, without the solar panels on it, you'll see how shaky the video is, and that was a few uploads ago. So I don't want the streams to be that shaky. So I have a GoPro. I can mount that and just record video, but I really like streaming, so I'm gonna work on that. Okay, everyone. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. This is just the Weehoo trailer that was modified. We added this piece here, this metal here, and then a little part there, and that's what this clamp connects to, and you can see that in the description. I have links to the parts we used here. Okay, everyone, have a great day, and if you have any questions, let us know. These solar panels keep the scooter charged, and if I'm just going low speed, it actually keeps the battery full. If I'm just going like around 7 miles an hour, under 10 miles an hour on flat ground, it'll keep the battery full, and I can just ride it all day. And we'll do some streams of that. So again, solar panels, monocrystalline solar panels. Exciting things that I'm learning are that I have learned, it's been a couple of months now, but I was researching previously that it looks like ultraviolet light is what really is the light wavelengths that charges up these cells. Now, where is ultraviolet being used? Ultraviolet is used to kill, I think it's called bacteria in water. So a lot of the water filtration systems, like when you go buy water somewhere at a water supply store where they actually filter the water themselves, they'll have a UV or ultraviolet, which is really bad to look at. We don't want to look at ultraviolet. We want to protect our skin and our eyes from UV. And there's UVA, UVB, and there's different kinds of UV. So I'm looking into how to use UV to charge the cells, just as an experiment. And if I do some experiments in that, I'll record those experiments, but just because I'm interested in seeing what's possible. Oh, I wanted to mention that a really interesting solar cells I learned about, which have like approximately 28% efficiency. It's funny because like when you read about solar cells, like these are up to 24% efficient. These are SunPower monocrystalline, which means a single big crystal versus like a bunch of little crystals. See, if you look at this, it's just one crystal. Okay, these are crystals and they're grown. It's really interesting. They grow these in a short time too. I don't think it takes that long to grow these. I don't know if it's days or weeks, but it's not years. From what my research and study indicate, and if I recall correctly, that these cells can grow, I think in I don't remember how long it was. I'm sorry, I should have looked at that again, but you can look that up. Monocrystalline solar cells, how long to grow them. And then they use, they cut them into slices. So one of the things I was learning about was a different kind of solar cell, which cost a lot more. These solar cells are they're just over $1 per watt for this kind of solar cell, which is like maybe $1.10 or like $1.10 per watt, or $1.20 per watt, right? Roughly about that. So very close to $1 per watt. They have a solar cell, I think it's called, you'll have to confirm for yourself, and if I'll look for the link and I'll put it in the description when I find it. I just sent it to my girlfriend actually because she's interested too to know these things. But when you read about these cells, they say, oh, well, you can't exceed 24%. That's the limit. And there's even people saying at a lower percentage, they're like, you can't exceed that. You can't, and then people exceed it because they use different technologies. They use different techniques. There's always a way to improve things and do better. So this company was told that what they were doing was absolutely impossible. They said like NASA told them that they can't do what they're doing. And this company, I think it's called AltaDevices, and I apologize if the name's wrong, but they have a solar cell that is I think it's very close to 28% efficient, but it's close, the last time I checked, because I wrote them, and they said that they're very focused on I think it's called unmanned aircraft or something like that, where they power, things that fly. But last I checked, I read something where it says they're expanding into other areas. And you have to check for yourself, because maybe they've always been in other areas and I misinterpreted what they were saying to me. But I know the price was very high, and I don't know if that price has come down. Okay, so we're talking about $1 per watt for SunPower monocrystalline, approximately, for these, right? If these are, and I believe these are by SunPower, for 24% efficient, up to 24% efficient. And the solar cells I'm talking about, which I think is from AltaDevices, I think is what it's called. They have a cell that's up to 28% efficient, and it's AnyLight. They're called AnyLight. So if you just look up AnyLight, AltaDevices, I think that's their name, or very close to that, you'll see their homepage, and you'll see their cells, and they actually work not just off of the spectrum that these work on, which is about, if I understand correctly, these are highly charged by the UV. And if that's true, I'm thinking of putting like a UV, can I actually add UV to this? Can I put a filter on top of this, which I realize would cut down some light, but it might add the wavelengths that charge the cells. It's just an experiment, it's just an idea, right? When people say things are impossible, I'm interested in it. If they go, oh, you can't do that, it's like, well, why not? Well, I want to try it, why not try it? If there's no harm to anyone in trying it, it doesn't hurt me, it doesn't hurt anyone else, then why not try it? If anything, it can lead to other research that could lead to something. Maybe that doesn't directly help me, but by continuing to try something can lead to a successful experiment. I mean, this is a successful experiment. People said, oh, you can't charge your scooter with SunPower with sunlight. You can't do it because you'll have to add too many solar panels. This doesn't look like too many solar panels to me. This isn't that bad. I like it. I mean, I can ride all day with this. So, okay, so what I was saying was the 28% efficient, I think it's AltaDevices solar cells, they use a different process. Okay, so I don't know how they make their cells, and I think it's an expensive process, right? But they do manufacture these and they do sell them. And it's closer to, an article I read said it was about $50. $50 per watt. That's very expensive compared to these at like $1 per watt, right? Now, when I contacted the company, this is several months ago, they said that it's closer to $100 per watt. But maybe that price has come down. You never know. Companies are always improving their manufacturing process. They're always sourcing better quality and lower cost materials. So things change and prices come down. But AnyLight, the AnyLight solar cells, those solar cells can actually artificial light. Like these don't do very well with artificial light. These are the SunPower monocrystalline cells, right? Elfeland SP-22. These need sunlight. So I don't know if it's the UV that's charging these. I'll do some experiments to find that out, to see which wavelengths are and I know a lot of people are doing those kind of tests. I haven't seen anyone test UV though, and what I was starting to say was UV lamps are available because they used UV lamps. Ultraviolet lamps are used to clean the air, like to kill bacteria in the, I should say it this way, to kill the bacteria in the air, because UV kills it. John Ellis water, if you look up John Ellis water, he uses a process that distills the water over and over and over, and that's supposed to give the water healing properties. And this comes way back. He read about this when he was a kid, when he was like 16, and now he's a much older man. John Ellis water, he's all over YouTube. He has a machine that's very expensive, but all it does, I mean, it's a couple $1,000s, but all it does is it distills the water. It distills the same water over and over and over, and that changes the hydrogen bonding angle. That changes the hydrogen bonding angle, the way the hydrogen bonds to the oxygen, right? Oxygen, hydrogen, water. It changes the hydrogen bonding angle, but then he's hitting it with ultraviolet. Now, I don't know, now he didn't say that ultraviolet was required to make the water healing, okay? He didn't say that. He just said the ultraviolet was added to help, I guess, to kill the bacteria, and you have to see for yourself. There's plenty of videos of John Ellis on YouTube explaining what he understands and what he has learned from the great wisdom that's been passed on from generation to generation. He's read some books when he was very young that really taught some insightful things about healing the body, especially with just distilled water. And when I go to the market to buy distilled water, I have to buy, like, I don't have many choices, and it's not necessarily for drinking. So I want a good starting material. Like if I'm gonna distill water hundreds of times, I want to distill water that's already good drinking water, and then distill it and distill it and distill it. I don't want to necessarily distill, toxic, dirty water. But the John Ellis water machine, they call it deuterium depleted water. That's one of the words for it. And deuterium, if I understand correctly, is like radioactive. It's not good for us, right? So how do you get radiation out of your water? Now, I know I'm going off, this might seem like a tangent, but it's all connected, because True Zero Emissions is about educating ourselves on how to heal the body, and educating ourselves how to reduce emissions that go into the air that harm both the body and the environment. So it's all connected. Everything's connected. So, so John Ellis water, talking about how, I think I was talking about the UV. So he was saying he uses UV, and I don't know if he did that. I don't know what the reason that he did the UV, other than just to kill the bacteria in the water, distilling the water over and over and over, distilling it. And you can read this on your own. You can contact. In fact, John Ellis, I don't know if he's still here. I think he's still with us. He loves answering questions. He said call his company and he'll talk to people. So he knows a lot, John Ellis water. He also said that when you distill water over and over and over, there was some experiments done, and there's a video on this on YouTube, where someone used, because you're changing the hydrogen bonding angle, right, of water. You're changing the hydrogen bonding angle. And he said when you use that water that's been sent through the John Ellis machine, or any machine that distills water over and over and over, because I think that one can be made too that just distills the water over and over and over, even though he's using ultraviolet light in there, that's just for the purpose of killing the bacteria. It's not what gives the water mystical properties, to quote John Ellis. And he's just quoting a book he read when he was 16. And he's saying, if I recall correctly, it gives it mystical healing properties just by distilling the water. And what does nature do? Isn't that what nature does? Distill, evaporate, go back into the ground, feed the plants, feed earth, and then go up into the air. Distilling, that's distillation. That's the distillation process. Isn't that interesting? Earth already does it. So you're kind of speeding that process up by just doing it quickly. Rapid cooling and heating. Rapid cooling and heating. And John Ellis water, what John said was, he said that it's the rapid, he said one of the things that made his device unique was that the switching on and off, to not let the water get too hot, to not let the water, I don't know how to explain it. You'd have to study his videos, but not to steam it too quickly. It's like you want to go at the right rate. But I don't think there has to be perfection in this. I think if you distill the same water over and over and over, and you cool it and heat it and cool it and heat it, it lets nature get involved there. Nature does its process of somehow allowing the water to heal the human body and to heal life. So, I'm sorry, I just blanked out because I saw my cat. Hi, she's meowing at me. I just saw my cat. She's cleaning herself now. That's Charmer. Okay, so let me see where I was. Okay, so ultraviolet light. I think I was talking about ultraviolet light. Oh, someone did some test with, now if you've heard of anything about water fuel technology, where people do experiments making hydrogen from water, because water has hydrogen in it. It has the two things you need for combustion, which is hydrogen and oxygen. So in a way, it makes sense that people would be experimenting with that as a fuel. So some people say, oh, it's not a fuel, it's water, it's not a fuel. Well, I don't know. I mean, it has the potential. It seems like, to me, it's like the electricity. Electricity is potential, right? Electricity is potential. And if you study Don Smith on Rick Friedrich's channel, Don Smith talks about there is no positive and negative. There's just negative and less negative. And there's a difference, and that difference in voltage, that difference is potential, and that's where you can do work. You can do work with that. Now that's the way I recall it. There's a book that just came out. I'll be getting it. Rick Friedrich is selling it on his website, and you can find him, Rick Friedrich, here on, actually he's in our description. If you go to our description right here on this video, and you can click on Rick Friedrich, and you can see in his more recent uploads, he talks about having completed a book. And Donald Smith talks about how the Earth is an electric brushless motor. How interesting is that? So talk about free energy and energy being everywhere. So it's not just using air, wind for wind turbines to make energy. It's also using the energy that electrifies the universe, right? The energy that is charging the universe. You know, they call it plasma. You know, Don Smith, I don't know if he refers to the plasma concept. I still have a lot to study and learn about Donald Smith, but I'm really excited. When he said the Earth is a brushless motor, I thought, okay, I understand that. That makes sense. It's something simple, it's something I understand, and it's something to build upon to further understand more about the way the universe works, if I say it that way. So anyway, where were we? Okay, so someone was doing some experiments with the John Ellis water, which is really just water that's been distilled many times, right? Like hundreds of times, distilling the same water, which is making it evaporate, cooling it, and then making it evaporate and cooling it, and just that cycle, which nature already does, but it probably takes a lot longer than if you have a machine that's doing it rapidly, real quickly, with a fan and a heating element and a thermostat that switches on and off to keep it at that perfect temperature you want. And John Ellis was very proud of his switch he made, which had such exact specifications. And so he's very proud of that too, because John Ellis is an engineer, among many other things. So when someone used that water, that distilled water, okay, when someone used that distilled water in their hydrogen water fuel technology, so they poured the water into their I don't know if you'd call it a fuel cell or your HHO cell. There's different names for it, but a device that uses electricity to, I guess we can call it electrolysis. Okay, if it uses electricity to separate the bond that connects, that holds oxygen and hydrogen together. And if you release, how much energy does it take to release that bond, right? Well, John Ellis Water was saying that and you can find him on YouTube, that when you use that water, whether it be his machine or something you did yourself where you're just heating and cooling the water, you know, many hundreds of times, and it changes the hydrogen bonding angle, and he has a video on that, and I also have a playlist on that too. I think it's called Changing the Hydrogen Bonding Angle of Water or something like that. If you look that up, it'll help you understand what he's talking about. And what happened was that it took the way it was explained by the person that was experimenting, is it took very little to release that oxygen and hydrogen when you use that water. So that's a different experiment that might be applied to one of our other experiments that we're doing, which is the Geet fuel processor, which is going very well. I made some recent update videos on that and shared some stories that Paul has shared with many people when they used to call Paul Pantone about his Geet engine. So I might, and the Geet, they say, loves hydrogen, so I might be adding some kind of electrolysis type system where it actually is, in addition to what it's already doing, we're adding some hydrogen to that as well. Actually, I can give you kind of update on the oh, hi Charmer. I can give you an update on the Geet engine since we're here. Might as well, right? I'll give you an update. It's a little messy here, sorry. Here's the I'll give you an update on what's happening here with the Geet engine. Okay, so here's the Geet engine. What's a Geet? You can look it up. Geet is Global Environmental Energy Technology. This is the reactor here. It's called a reactor, but it's not harmful to us at all. There's just a reaction that takes place. So this is where I'm adding the, so this is a Ryobi generator. It's a Ryobi propane generator. See, it's powered by propane. See, propane. And this part goes, let me see. This part goes here, and that goes into that sends the fuel, the new fuel, into the engine over there, right there. This cools it. So what happens is, this is just, I recommend looking at our other videos. I don't want to explain everything in this video about how this works or what it does, but I just wanted to show you how I'm kind of configuring to add water into the system. So we have our fuel, our propane fuel. Basically, this engine, what it does is it in a way, it turns a gasoline or propane engine into more of an electrical, I don't want to call it electrical combustion, but maybe we'll call it electrical implosion, which is just another way that nature works. I mean, there's many things that nature can do, and ways that we can use nature to facilitate you know, more efficient use of energy that are available to us that come just from experimenting, that introduce themselves to us through experimentation, if we say it that way. So there's many things awaiting the experimenter. And so what I've done here is we have propane coming in. This lets me reduce the amount of propane if I want to, but I'm going to leave that open at first. This is an air fuel mixer, and I opened up these holes. I think these were 3/8 in this thing here. I got this on Amazon for like $10. It's just a water filter, okay? And you can see the filter. This is the filter that's going to go inside there. That goes inside there. But the reason I'm showing you this right now is because we're talking about water fuel technology, right? So if I'm going to have water in here, that'll mix the propane, right? This is the air fuel mixer that used to go right onto the engine on the side here. Okay, that used to go right there. And now we're putting it over here, and the engine's not going to know the difference. The engine just wants air and fuel. That's all it wants. The engine just wants it. The engine just says, give me air, give me fuel, and I'll run. It needs spark and compression as well, but it has those. All the thing we've changed is we've moved the air fuel mixer, which is a propane air mixer. That goes into here. It's going to pick up through wick evaporation, wick. I put a little water in the bottom. It's going to wet this whole thing, and then the air will move through from outside to inside, it'll be moist air, and then that air, so it'll be air, fuel, which is propane, and water all going into here, up the middle pipe, exhaust coming out the outer pipe right here. These are just two pipes. This is just this part right here is a half-inch pipe going here, straight through here, and then I slid a larger pipe over the outside of that with very little space between the two pipes, and see my other video if you want to see that. And then the air, now this is different than normal. Normally when you run an engine, you don't want this much back pressure, but the Geet system loves when you restrict this. That increases efficiency of the whole system. But there's other things, and I forgot to mention this in the other video, and I'm going to mention it now. It's very important, and I apologize I didn't mention this before, because I think what happens sometimes is, you know, people put the rod in the middle, which is this rod that has to go in the center pipe. And again, watch my other videos on the Geet to learn more about the rod and stuff and what it does. But this rod sits in there, and if you have full unrestricted air just flowing through here really fast, it'll slam this rod up into the glass. It'll slam it up into there. So what I'm doing is, and this is just experiments because I don't really know how to, I'm learning how to make this work myself too. Paul Pantone, he said that this is something you teach yourself. It's like introducing yourself to nature. Nature offers so many possibilities of things we can do, so far beyond our current understanding of science. I mean, think about it. In a million years, will we look back, we being humanity, look back at this day in history today, 2018, and say to ourselves, wow, we thought we knew everything then. Even though we knew we didn't know everything, we still thought we knew a lot. I mean, how's the science going to look in a million years from now? From people with human minds like ours, looking back in history and looking at where they are at that time. I mean, we can't say we know everything. We can, but I don't find that to be a very creative space to live in. I find it more creative to say, what can I learn from nature? Let me introduce myself to the possibilities, to the unlimited possibilities that await us by just being open, by being open-minded, by being optimistic, by being positive. Okay, so see this little restrictor plate? This is just a gasket that's metal. It's, good question. What is it? Is it brass? I'm sorry, I don't know if it's brass. I think it's brass. I don't think it's copper. I think it's brass. It was a sheet, and it was traced from the gasket, and this is going to go right here. That's going to go between the air fuel mixer and this pipe here that goes into here. I just drilled and tapped this to 1/2 inch so the pipe would screw right in. I'm going to use some I'm going to use tape. I'm going to use plumber's tape. It's the kind that's made for natural gas and propane. I think this is the one here. I'll use plumber's tape on that. But when we get closer to the Geet reactor system here, I'm going to start using the red RTV because I don't want to use, I don't know how much temperature this can handle, but I don't think it can handle this. This gets super, super hot right here. So this is something I'm going to use. I'm going to put this in here, and I might have to make that hole a lot smaller. So I'll just keep making it smaller and smaller and smaller to give restriction, because I have to have in this a vacuum. I have to have a vacuum, and we want a vacuum in this whole area here because it helps everything evaporate, right? Propane evaporates at like -40 degrees. I think it is. I think it's -40 degrees Fahrenheit. It starts to evaporate. So once this temperature we have here, ambient temperature, I mean right now it's like 74. It's 74.1 degrees right now. That's like super hot for propane. That's already going to be a vapor when it gets here. That's already vaporized. Water, to help the water evaporate, I want to put, I want this in a vacuum. And for this to work, for the Geet system to work, it has to be in a vacuum. And I think it's like around 11 inches of vacuum is what it's called. Around that, approximately. But I'm just going to get the most vacuum I can, the most vacuum I can produce inside the fuel inner pipe. I'm going to do the most I can. And that's going to tell me my vacuum right there. That's my gauge. And this was just a pressure release valve that came with this, and I just drilled it out and tapped it and put this gauge there. And I'll also be sealing that with the red RTV, with the with this here, with the plumber's tape. which is for natural gas and propane. But the restriction, my restriction here, which I'm going to put between, you know, where do I put the restriction? Oh, do I put it where the air comes into the air-fuel mixer? Do I put it between the air-fuel mixer and this here? And I think this is a better place to put it. I'm just guessing. And I think because if I put it on the where the air comes into this, it's going to try to suck a lot of propane in. This is a propane line here, and it's going to make it pull more propane in. I don't want that. I want this to run the way it was made already. I want it to, because it's already tuned to make the engine run well. So I don't want to interfere with that. And so I'm going to put this, because of that, my thoughts are I'm going to use this restrictor plate between this device, which is the air-fuel mixer, and this container here, which is going to be where these two connect together right there. It's going to be between there. And that's going to, I might have to go much smaller, whatever it takes for the engine to run, but give me a lot of vacuum. I want it to be like maybe around up here, just past the 10 or like 11 or something. I'm going to try to go for that and see how it does. So that's part of what makes this work. And anyway, I guess this is a general overall update video because we're showing many things. But I'm happy to be able to give you guys a pretty complete update on what's happening. And the reason I showed the Geet engine is because it bolts on right here. 1, 2, 3. It bolts on right there. And then we have a generator that can charge at nighttime. That can charge the battery at nighttime if it gets dark, or if the sun goes behind a cloud or something and I need to charge the scooter. But we have pretty sunny days here in California, as you can see. Very, very bright. And the monocrystalline cells do well, and even when it's cloudy, my research indicated that they still work pretty good. I think the research that I read, and again, research can be contradictory. You can read one thing and then something else can say, no, that's not possible. But I read, some of the numbers I read was that a sunny day is about, well, let me say it this way. The solar cells, what I was reading was the solar cells need about 40, I think they need like 40,000 lux, L-U-X, to produce their what they need to make, you know, the power to make their rated power. They need 40,000 LUX. And please confirm this for yourself. It's been several months since I've researched this. And that on a sunny, I don't know if it's like an overcast day or a cloudy day, that we're still getting like 42,000 LUX. So it seems like with the monocrystalline, it's the way to go, because it doesn't even need necessarily the direct sunlight. Which right now, you can see, I don't know if you can tell, but they're kind of going into shadow a little bit right here on the bottom. They're starting to get into shadow a little bit because the roof is kind of blocking some of the sun. You can see it right there, see? And then what do we have? We still have, well, it's a very low amperage. Well, the battery's full now, but we're still getting the 41.44 volts. But the battery now at this point is very full, so it's not accepting a lot of charge. But you can see how it boosts the voltage. It boosts it up. See? Voltage boosting charger. Okay, everyone, thank you for being here in the stream. And I'm really excited about continuing to learn from you by seeing your comments, not just on my video, but on others' videos, and seeing your videos and just the inspiration of all the positivity out there about optimism and how to create solutions and how to create true zero emissions. Being the goal is just how little can we pollute, and beyond that, like the Geet fuel system, the fact that system, one of the things it can do is release oxygen from the exhaust more than is in the air. That's a worthy experiment to me, and so that's one of the things we're working towards, is to see if we can experience that for ourselves. Many others have, and so we want to see if we can join in the experience of experiencing that. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you for being on the stream, and look forward to seeing you in future streams, and have a great day. Take care. Bye.